Hello and welcome to The Black Massage Therapist. I'm your host Pauline Blackwood of Pendulum Massage of London. In today's episode, we're going to talk about something that a lot of people ask about, a lot of people wonder about, and a lot of people ponder about before booking their first appointment. And so today we're going to demystify what happens in the first 10 minutes of an appointment. But before that, I'm going to get on with some chores and I'll join you with a more focused mind in a moment. So welcome. I've just done a few chores, moved items out of the way so we've got a clear view and a clear mind to present today's pod. So in the first 10 minutes of any given appointment, there's a lot that happens. And it's because the client wants a personalized treatment, a bespoke treatment, but they're not sure how this is going to occur. They've never been here before. So really, it's important for me to set the scene, but also to allow the client room to express what they need to express in order to get the best treatment possible from their massage. So before the actual appointment, what happens is the client browses through a selection of different massage therapists in the neighbourhood, usually using a search engine online. They may find me through some form of directory that I may be listed upon. There are many out there, some that I have generated content for, and others that are compiled online by others. Either way, within the directory, it probably has something about what I do, what my company name is, where I am, and possibly even how much I charge. Sometimes there's more or less information. Either way, they make a decision about what they're going to do next. Now they may phone me. This is the way people used to do it. They used to phone your massage therapist, the massage therapist would book them in an appointment. Because I am a sole trader, meaning it's just me on own, what I do is I like people to book online. So most communications that I have direct people to my website, and there they can find a bookings page, and on there they can make a booking. So when people book through that route, the consultation is done in advance because I have an online consultation process. And within that, there are certain, and within that, there are expectations, for example, that the client will pay in advance or pay a deposit in advance. And there is a reason for this, which I'll go into in another show. But putting money down for an appointment is an act of intent to attend the appointment. To me, that's common sense and it's good business practice also. So once the client is booked now, they're going to receive confirmation from me. This is all before the first 10 minutes. And the first communication from me is the confirmation of the booking. It will have the address, how to reach me, and some clues as to what door, entrance, etc. they should expect upon arrival. Now, this is important because I want them to arrive. There's also contact details within the booking as well, so that if there's any last minute issues, for example, I don't know where your door is, or is there somewhere close by I can park, or all these sorts of questions, they can ring and just ask at the last minute before the appointment. So once all that's done, it is a case of they've booked. Now they've done the consultation with the booking and they've planned their journey and they're at the door and they're knocking on the door. Well, first things first is I greet the client at the door. They knock first, good manners. I greet them at the door. They enter the room and I introduce myself. I introduce myself specifically so that they know that I'm going to do the treatment. And that's what they're there for, and they introduce themselves. Now, for example, if there's a booking and the person's name doesn't match the booking name, I will query that. The reason is they might say something like, oh, my husband booked the appointment, but it's actually for me. Or it may be, my friend booked the appointment as a gift for me. or they'll say their name as expected. Either way, it's to ensure that the consultation form tallies up with them, and then I offer them a seat. During the initial consultation, I can look through their notes that they've given me in their consultation and that I've probably transcribed into my diary, and we can discuss those points briefly. If they've answered in full on the consultation, the chat may take no more than 5 minutes normally, and that is because we need to find a way to get from the consultation form to actually me devising a treatment plan in my head. Now, I do that in my head because I remember certain ways of working that work really well for different types of conditions. However, even though that is the case, what normally happens is their body dictates the type of massage that I will deliver because everybody's different, even if I've got some form of treatment plan, idea, or ballpark in my head. So once the consultation is underway, often I also ask about any conditions that they may have, or any old injuries, or any sites of surgery, because scar tissue sometimes acts a little bit differently, and scar tissue can affect the body's response to massage as well. So it's important for me to understand and know these things in advance. Also, personal preferences, for example, if someone's having a massage, they may not want their hands to be massaged. They may not want their feet to be massaged. Now, there are lots of different reasons for this. Some people don't like their feet to be touched. Some people are ticklish and they're worried they're going to kick or do something weird like that. And some people, their hands, they feel it's quite a personal thing. They prefer not to have their hands touched, which is all fine. Also, say for example, someone wants a head massage. I give a choice of whether they'll have oils used or no oils used because it's more than easy. It's more than possible to do a nice scalp rub, a nice head massage without the use of oils or with the use of oils. So yeah, there's a lot going on there before the client is even on the table and within the first 10 minutes. I remember reading in a book. Don't don't judge me on the state of this book now. But this book here, it's got a beautiful section on consultations. I've had this book so long, and I'm sorry it's falling apart, but it has a beautiful section on consultations. And I remembered when I was in my consultation, I was in practice for the maybe first couple of years, that I thought, let me get this book and see what it's all about. And one of the first chapters, within the first 100 pages, talks about consultation. And it was a real eye opener for me that the consultation can affect the whole outcome of the appointment. And the thought occurred to me that let's sort this first part of my service out straight away. And the important thing for me was to really, really listen. And what actually turned my head onto the process of consultation was that if people are listened to, you can learn so much. You can learn so much as a massage therapist. And whilst you're listening, not with the intent to organize your words for the next sentence coming out, or to think ahead or to think backwards, is to really observe what's going on in front of you and to listen. And there have been moments where, when I have really listened, then things that occur later are not so much of a surprise. So I'm obviously, the treatment room for me is an area of confidence. So that means I don't talk about individual clients. But I can say that since using this real active listening process, I found that the process of my work is so much easier. And in doing that as well, people are at ease more so than if they had not been listened to as well. So for me, the consultation is so, so, so important. The issue of stress is a big one. A lot of people come in stressed, and I decided, I guess, once I'd read that book on weathering, I remember the book came out. I remember hearing an interview with Dr. Arlene Geronimus during lockdown, and she is this teacher doctor who coined phrase the term weathering, meaning like weathering of walls in how they age and distort over time. Use that term to describe the effect of discrimination in an unjust world on the health of ethnic minorities and the working class in any given society. And her view was, and it was backed up by statistics, that working class and black and brown bodies age differently and faster and become ill differently and faster than other populations because of life stresses. So for me, I decided to center my work on the premise that people who come to see me are suffering from weathering, and that my job is to assist in encouraging and promoting calm. Simple. For me, it is a political act, and it's one that I take incredibly seriously. My job isn't to create a grand show around the consultation and the treatment. My job is to ground, calm, and settle the nervous system of individuals who come to see me. That I can help with. And the consultation is as much a part of that as anything, but also creating a space where calm is here. So, yeah, once we have agreed on the treatment, meaning areas that they don't want touched, areas that they feel comfortable me working on, areas that they want me to focus on, then I tend to explain how the treatment's going to work. So I ask them what they'll be more comfortable for. For example, would they want the table heated or not? Would they want the extra throw or not, or blanket? Do they want the quilt on because the weather's freezing? Do you want the heater pumped up and hot? Or do you want it just on a mellow? So depending on where people are. So say, for example, somebody's perimenopausal, they say, I do not want any heat at all. They may be fine with that. Later on, they may want the throw, but it's their choice. If a client wants a certain type of oil, I've got a different selection of oils available. I keep them organic because they're good for us, fair enough. But I have oils available, some pre-blend essential oils, some base oils. The reason I have those choices is so that clients can pick their preference. If a client picks their preference, they feel more relaxed and more settled with the treatment. Once they've got their oil of choice, generally we get cracking. And this is the point where I actually say, again, this is an issue about feeling safe, feeling secure. Then I tell them I'm going to leave the room so you can hop on the table. And I explain how they get on the table and how they will be oriented. Now, they may decide they want to lie on their back to begin the treatment or their tummy. That's up to them as well. But either way, what I have in my room is a little bell that they ring so that they can hop on the table. And when I hear the bell, I give them 20 seconds, then I come in. I may knock on the door first as well. And that reason is for safety. I want my clients to feel safe. I want them to feel secure and comfortable so that they can hop on the table. I touched upon the point about what clients wear on the table, and that is for safety and but also for comfort and for modesty as well to be wearing underwear. Another way that I maintain modesty of the client during treatments is that I use drapes. So for me, I have sarongs on the table and fabrics, and these fabrics drape the client completely. So at the start and the end of the treatment, the client is completely covered. It's only their head that may be showing. And what I do is I work on each body area, so a leg, back of leg, front of leg, etc. But I only undrape the area that I'm working on. If the limb or the extremity is in motion, so say for example, I'm mobilizing an arm or something like that, or a leg, what I might do is tuck the fabric in around the area so that the extremity can be moved easily. And that way it maintains the modesty also. The first touch. Once the client's on the table, my job is really to settle them down. So normally what I do is some gentle, what we call biscuit making. A gentle padded walk with the hands down the back. So there's a reason for this. It settles the client and it helps them to breathe more deeply, settle into the table and relax the nervous system and allow the thoughts to just float away. I can check in with a few things at that time. Where there's tension, where there are areas that might feel a little bit tighter, less mobile than others. Because generally the back is an area that has a bit of movement to it. But if there's some tightness there, that's something I can look into later. One of the other things I look into is the breathing. Can we deepen? Can I guide the breath? Can I assist with them? Sometimes I can use pressure to actually allow a client to breathe against that pressure. And then upon the removal of the hands, they breathe and expand their rib cage in a more expansive, larger way. And I do this to help them, again, fill the lungs with air and get that nourishment through the body. I might use rocking. Rocking again calms the nervous system, allows the client to feel more relaxed and settled. And rocking is one of those primeval movements that really helps with that. And it's something that is mirrored with childhood, calming, relaxing practices. I think that during this first contact as well, it's really important once the client is then undraped. So if I'm working on the back first, because they've said they've got back pain, who am I to start working on any other part of the body if they said their focus is their back? Of course, I want to start with the back. So if I'm going to work on the back, it is important that the first contact is broad and simple, because wide, broad hands on first contact allow the back muscles to warm up. They allow the client to feel relaxed under your touch to begin with, but also those first points of contact allow these hands to feel where the first parts of differences are, or should I say, the first points of difference are. So, is one area hotter than the other or colder than the other? Are muscles, is there a symmetry to the muscles or an asymmetry? Is there a sensation of muscle tightness anywhere? And this guides me as to the work that I do during the treatment. It's important when reading the body to think about how we go about our jobs. So the consultation is the first thing. The spoken consult is the second. Discussion about previous injuries, surgeries, area and such like is important. And then finally, my treatment plan, all together with how my hands read the body, actually creates, I don't know how to call it, it creates a treatment plan in motion. There you have it. So, in effect, the first 10 minutes of any treatment, there's a lot going on. And initially, it feels quite daunting because when you come out of massage school, you've got all these techniques running around your head. You've got these routines that you know off by heart because you've been doing them with your case studies and during the study time. And you read about consultations and you read about the ethics of touch and all of that stuff. But when you actually begin, it is kind of daunting and complicated. But as time goes on, it does get easier. And even though it gets easier, it's really important to not be complacent about it. And the reason is because if you become complacent about how you go about your treatment plans and think, oh, well, I can just take that one off the shelf and use that particular routine, no, you'll be in for a surprise. And that surprise may be that you are not working in a way that honours the needs of your client. So it's important in that first 10 minutes to actually treat every client as an individual and have a real sense of ethos, a strong ethos about doing the right thing for them each time. Okay, um, I think I'm going to call it a day there, and I hope that you have found um, this particular podcast useful. If you're starting out in massage and you've got any questions, feel free to ask. I don't mind, I'll give it a go to answer them back. um, be sure to follow and subscribe this podcast. If you are listening, there are visuals on YouTube, so I'm going to upload there and wherever you have your podcast subscription service. So, with little ado, I bid you a goodbye and wish you a wonderful, wonderful rest of April. Bye.